The way I am so confused by this episode, what I mean is, who is K Michelle talking about? I have no idea. Like, she just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. Why is Drew always late? I cannot believe that she was literally 3 hours late and literally missed the entire function. Cynthia, you did amazing. Honestly, hats off to you. So, oh my god, this episode really confused the living daylights out of me. Anyway, hello everyone, my name's OJ. Welcome back to my channel. This is a review of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 17, episode number 7. It is the day off slash the evening of Cynthia's gala. Also, I'm a little bit under the weather, so please excuse my voice. If I look a little crazy in the face, I'm just getting back to being normal again. I also have all my notes here, so if you see me looking down at my iPad, this is why. Obviously, we start off where we left off from last time. Kelly and Portia. I cannot with them. So allegedly, Kelly wanted some of Portia, as in Portia said from the confessional she had said that last year, when they had got back from Grenada, they went to Miami for a bit or something, and Portia was in the shower or in the bath or something, and Kelly had apparently seen Portia and seen her Hello Kitty, and said that she wanted to take a bite or she wanted some of that. I, yeah. So allegedly, but Kelly, in her words, says that Portia wouldn't be, well, she's not into women, one, and Portia wouldn't be her type, I guess. So I guess it's her word versus hers. So, and then obviously they continue with the argument. I'm really not going to rehash over the argument, as we all saw it was like a big back and forth with the whole Portia saying that Kelly had slept with a married man, Kelly then pushing back saying she did not, or basically denying that allegation. So I guess we'll see as time goes on. Like, I guess if more comes out from it, which I hope not, because I just feel like this argument or this story is pretty dead in my opinion. Um, I could not believe that literally towards the end of the argument, Portia then says that she sent her flowers to, I guess, try to like smooth things over, and Kelly said Kelly didn't like the flowers and she didn't accept them from Portia, and Portia said to shove them up her ass, and then Kelly or shove the rose up her ass or something. And then obviously they went back and forth for a bit, and then Kelly, they all just start talking about the toys, like the rose toys, for like randomly. That is so random and so unserious, but yeah. But then at the same time, too, when Kay Michelle pointed out that, how do you go from basically cursing at each other to now suddenly switching over to just talking about like sex toys and roses and all that when Paper had asked? I mean, I guess that's just how they are. It's just made for TV, really, so it is what it is. I don't know what they're talking about. I believe they were talking about the gala because I have a note here. Because Kelly said she wants an espresso martini, and I just wrote down it's actually espresso, not espresso, but it's like a minor thing I just picked up on. Um, oh, so there was on their way to dinner. Yes, that's where they were going, and they were talking about the drinks and the cocktails that they needed or they would like to have. And then that's when Kelly said she would like an espresso martini in her words, and that's when wrote down it's actually espresso, not espresso. But I digress. Anyway, um, when they got to the place, they all sat down for dinner. They had like a nice little private room. Pinky gets sick from drinking all the tequila, and then while she was in the toilet, obviously Cynthia then gets up to go check on her, like how sweet of her. It was so funny how Cynthia was saying like be nice because you never know who you'll need in your corner or who you'll need to come to your aid, which ended up being Cynthia. Cynthia was the one that went and checked on her also as the host. Like she's very gracious and brought her some ginger ale. I think it's because like Pinky didn't eat much that day, so poor thing. I'm just doing that because I just thought of the last time that I had way too much to drink and I didn't have enough food that day, and I nearly wiped myself out. That was like May last year. And ever since then, just the thought of drinking alcohol now, I cannot. And yes, that is what it is for me now. So it was great of Cynthia to go check on Pinky. And I'm glad that, she made it out alive. She made it out all right. And they went home fine. So they're obviously sitting at the table, chit chatting, ordering their food. Um, One thing I noticed was, I guess, from the boss to the table, Kay's energy was different. Like she was kind of like just there, just watching, if that makes sense. Um, while they were sitting at the table, Portia and Kelly sort of have, how will I say, not like a rehashing, but Portia then says that she wants to take back everything she says because she felt like she was putting a curse on her, talking about like Kelly's businesses and what had happened with them, or what eventually did happen, or what's everything that's to do with her life and her business. And she says to apologize and move on and ask, I guess, to have like another conversation outside of the group or whatever. But Kelly says they're good and that's where they're at. I think that's great at the same time, but at the same time, knowing Kelly, I hope that this is not the case of Kelly then going behind the scenes or going to anyone else but Portia and then having afterthoughts on everything that had transpired or everything that she was thinking about when she should have just said it to Portia at that moment, if that makes sense. But I guess it was good of Kelly and Portia to kind of hash it out, if that makes sense. And then they then talk about Drew and Kay and this whole Black DM thing. So obviously Black being the person that I guess Drew's hanging out with or casually dating or whatever. And then in the past he had DMK Michelle. I don't understand what or where they're going with this, so I guess moving on really. And then they also bring up Shamia and obviously like sorry, back at the table they then talk about Drew, K Michelle, and Black. Then they eat, enjoy the food, whatever. They make little jokes. Portia makes jokes about the oyster and like she's sniffing it and saying like, this one's good. Yeah, whatever. So dinner's over. And then as they're leaving, Kay and Shamia then are to the side just talking about, I guess, the dinner and talking about, I guess, little things that they had observed really. And then while they're to the side, Angela or someone overhears them, and she then somehow brings up the whole, I guess, the breakdown of Shamia and Portia's relationship. Honestly, I am tired of hearing them talk about Shamia and Portia. Like, I get that it happened very recently, but I don't get the feeling that the both of them do want to talk about it. I don't feel like Portia wants to talk about it. So at this point, just let it go, move on to something else, and just let it be what it's gonna be. Because I like, I don't get it. Obviously, then they all leave, get in the bus, head back home, all go to bed. Obviously, we see that Pinky is in bed. Poor thing. I hope she's feeling better. The very next day, which is the breakfast, which happens to be the same day that Cynthia has her gala. So they're all there gathered at breakfast. Everyone is down there for breakfast except Kay Michelle. So they said, I don't know, she's taking her time or something. While at breakfast, Cynthia then explains that she has people coming with like jewelry and like gowns for the girls to like try on and to wear for the night, which I think it was such a beautiful thing. Like I love that they did that. Like it was nice to see them like be excited for something like that because I just think that that's so cool, and I just feel like that's one of the reasons why we watch these shows to see them do things that how will I say, things that we everyday people probably won't get to do or won't get to do as often. So I thought that was really cute. Um, Kay Michelle eventually calms down and she has this like withdrawn just look about her. And then I think she gets down to eat. She starts eating, and then someone must have asked her, how she's doing or whatever. And then she just starts crying. I will say, I get that, certain things can be triggering for people. People can be not in a great place with things around them, and they can't control what triggers them, I'll say. But at the same time, I am so tired of Kay being a party pooper. I hate to say that, but it's just like, where are we going with this? And why are we going on with this? Because when she started crying, I just started thinking, why are we crying? Like, what is going on and what is happening where, yeah, what is happening? What is going on? And then the reason why Kay Michelle, I guess, started crying, was it before or after? I can't even remember. Anyway, but Angela does ask Kay. She says basically what she meant when the previous night at dinner, Kay Michelle said she didn't feel safe. Because before they started talking about Drew, Kay, and Black, Kay made that statement. So then Angela brings it up today at breakfast. And then that's when Kay goes into like a whole thing to say that she is aware of a plot that's happening against her. Apparently, someone in the group is plotting to bring her down with like some sort of new information from like present or new, sorry, not new, but information from 8 years ago. So there was like a rumor while Kay was on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, which I will not be rehashing because I just personally do not wish to speak on someone's private anatomy in that way. But there was a rumor previously, and Kay was saying that someone within the group is using or trying to bring it up to, I guess, shame her or plot to bring her down in a way. So we find out that Kay Michelle shares that with Kelly and Shamia last night. So the night after they got back from the bar, she then tells them obviously what had happened, and they say it around like as a group. Kay Michelle lets it be known as a group that she did share and confide in those two. Um, Once that then comes out, Angela is asking Shamia why didn't Shamia share what Kay was going through. But in this moment, I side with Shamia because whatever Kay had shared with Shamia and Kelly was something very personal, something that she had confided in. So I don't understand why Shamia would then turn around, or why Angela would expect Shamia to share with the group, unless Kay then told Shamia that, something that if the group knew, it's fine. Because, it can be something that's embarrassing. It can be something that she doesn't want to talk about, and which makes sense because she sat at the table and she was crying. And all the girls then, rallied around her to, I guess, soothe her and all that. Um, I will say though, at the time, the way I guess the producers had set up the scene, the way the camera kept panning between different people while Kay was talking, I just felt that all the roads were pointing towards Drew. But at the same time, I'm confused still because it literally could be anyone, and I just feel like Kay should have just at that point just said like, oh well, this person, or it's been told to me that this person is doing X, Y, and Z, or this person is trying to plan X, Y, and Z against me, myself, or me being in this group at this very point. Um, I felt like Portia handled the scene very well by coming to Kay's aid because obviously she did mention that she was the one that brought Kay into the group, and she would like to take responsibility to make sure that Kay's all right. And at the same time, she did tell Kay like if it's me, then just say it's me. But Kay chooses not to say, which is, I guess, her privacy, her own thing. But then I don't know if you're gonna bring something up, just tell us, I guess. Hold on. What I feel like this freaking mic on? Sorry, everyone. Anyway, so obviously they finished breakfast and then they all split off into their groups. So Kay Michelle, Pinky, Shamia, and Kelly all go outside. Drew, Portia, Phaedra, Angela all went upstairs to the bedroom with Cynthia. So then Kay Michelle is out on the driveway with the other girls crying, and Drew and them are all upstairs talking about what could have been going on. And then while they're upstairs, they start talking about, Phaedra brings up that maybe they should check K Michelle's Twitter. And then they check K Michelle's Twitter, and then they saw a tweet from K Michelle from 3 hours ago, so around the time of breakfast or just before breakfast, really. So then they start talking about, just everything that's going on and who Kay could potentially be talking about. While at the same time, the scene does flip over to Kay, and then Kay then mentions that it wasn't just one person. She brings up Phaedra, Portia, and Drew's name as people that are allegedly part of this plot against Kay Michelle. I don't think she mentioned Angela's name, but she mentioned those three, their names. So it's looking like she says it's the three of them, even though at first I thought it was Drew just based off how production was, edited the scene when she was crying at the table and she was saying there's someone in this group. Because Kay did say someone. But then in the group scene with the girls outside, with Kelly, Shamia, Pinky, and herself, she mentioned Phaedra, Portia, and Drew's name, and not Angela. I could be wrong, but that's why she mentioned Angela. So then it flips back to the girls upstairs. So Angela says that Kay has an issue with everyone Shamia has an issue with, which I guess. And she is also saying that is basically Kay doing Shamia's bidding, and then Shamia putting a battery pack in Kay's back. We don't know. That is yet to be seen. Um, I laughed at this because while they were talking about this, just out of the blue, Drew gets up and she says, and who said that Phaedra eats dead people? And the person that said it was Pinky, because it was like a scene with Kay Michelle, Pinky, and someone else. Cynthia. I remember it was Cynthia. I was done. And then Phaedra says, who would say that? All she does is, just make sure that they look good and send them off. Like, probably look better than when they were alive, and she sends them off to the good Lord. So then they were all chilling, and then it's getting close to the time for them to all start getting ready for the gala. And Shamia decides that she wants to call a meeting. I guess she calls the meeting just to clear up the air, because the way that they laid everything out and the way that Angela had asked the question at the breakfast, it all was coming across that Shamia was, I guess, behind all this. Even when they were talking upstairs in the bedroom, Cynthia, Portia, Drew, Phaedra, Angela, it came across that Shamia was, I guess, the mastermind or something behind. I wrote down here that Kay is still speaking in code. So when, what's her name, Shamia calls the meeting and just like, clear the air and all that, Kay Michelle is still speaking in code. And then Drew then jumps in. Oh, well, sorry, Kay says something to Drew, and then Drew jumps in and says that Kay and Black seem familiar. And the reason she said that was because at the very first episode, when they had that dinner party at Portia's house, Kay said, it's very nice to see you again. So I guess from that, Drew took it as they had, met or they had known each other in some sort of context or in like a past tense before, whether, in like a romantic aspect or a non-romantic aspect. So yeah, there's that. And then they all get to arguing. So obviously then Drew stands up, Kay Michelle stands up. Yeah. I just said I'm over this argument, so I'm literally just gonna skip over the argument. Because like my thing is, as I had said earlier, I would rather Kay just had mentioned everyone's names that she had heard that are plotting against her. And then they can either potentially move forward or rehash, or I don't know. I just don't get the point in saying there's an issue, especially when you are on a show with everyone else where we can publicly see everything once, everything's edited. And you say that there's an issue, but then you don't say what the issue is, or you say or you say that there's someone plotting against you, but you're not willing to say who. Like, I'm not sure why, and I'm guessing it's probably from past trauma, which is something she did mention, like a couple of scenes ago, even now. I don't know. I just feel like, how will I say it? I had different expectations for K Michelle. I felt like K Michelle, someone coming from the love and hip hop space or just another reality TV show, she would know how to, I guess, navigate this space or how to, yeah, be around. But it seems as though this is becoming a lot for her. And I'm not sure if it's just because it's just a different kind of show, or is it just things that she is working through or trying to work through herself that she isn't over yet at this point, and we're all just seeing basically the other side of it all the time. So I don't know. I feel like Kay might need some time, and also I'm starting to feel like Kay is not suited for this show. I will just say that. As much as I love Kay and I love her from Love and Hip Hop, I'm not sure how I feel about her in this show. So obviously, like I said, they're arguing yada yada yada. Kelly says Drew is sneaky, because Drew then ends up leaving because she's over it. Kelly says Drew is sneaky and throws rocks and hides her hands. And I wrote down, isn't that you? Because I feel like that's what Kelly does. I feel like Kelly, instead of saying something to your face, like when she's calling Portia Horsha, she will not say it to your face, but then she'll either get behind a confessional and then say that, or she will then say it in the company of other people outside of the person that she needs to say it to. And then she will then only say it to them a little bit later, or once, I guess, someone else brings it up. Um, so Drew goes back and then she calls up Black, I guess, just to clear the air, and she then tells him about what had happened and the argument that they had just had. And it was so funny because Black basically said that, okay, how is she saying that you are trying to attach me to her when you barely are trying to attach me to you? That was funny. That was funny, but I still don't believe this whole Drew and Black thing, but it is what it is. So Portia asks Kay who's plotting, and I guess Kay doesn't really give an answer, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we would like to know, because at this point it could be anyone, or it could be just one person. But Kay did mention though that the night that they got back from the bar, she had got information from somewhere. So I'm not sure if it's from a friend or someone outside the show or someone within the show. Yeah, I don't know. It's um to be seen, I guess. I hope it comes clear sometime, but we never know. Um, so obviously from there, split off to go and start getting ready. All the girls are like doing the makeup, and while they're getting dressed and doing the makeup, the guys bring the jewelry. The guys for the jewelry that's going to come and dress them show up, and oh my god, they showed up with the police escort. And at first I was thinking, I was like, oh wow, like why are they getting a police escort? And then I realized those jewels is probably part of like the insurance thing that they need security with them. Like I think whatever Cynthia had on had come to like a total like the jewel. I think the bracelet was maybe $100,000 and the necklace 200 something, so it came to like 300 something. That's crazy, but like we love to see it. I love to see them do this. I love to see the girls do this, and oh my god, this was amazing. Um, Cynthia was funny when they had put the bracelet on, and she was asking if it was like double clasped. I would be the same as well, because if someone had put $100,000 bracelet on my hand, I'd be like, can you tape it? Can you glue it? Make sure that it doesn't fall off, because where am I supposed to get the money to pay for this? It was funny. It was funny seeing each of the girls come and like funny and cute at the same time, seeing their reaction, trying on like the diamonds, like the earrings, the necklaces. It was so, so nice. I thought that everyone looked amazing with like the jewelry that they had on. Shamia and that wig. I don't know if it was meant to be styled where it was meant to be like higher, like a little bit poofy, like very Texas like. But the way the wig was sitting, I just don't know where Shamia was going and why she had that wig. Like, to me, it made no sense. Oh. Um, I laughed as well when Phaedra asked the price of, I think it was a necklace that she had tried on, and the guy had said $100,000, and she said, "Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad at all." And I'm just like, you know what? That's a rich bitch right there. Because I remember when she was on Married to Medicine, and they were trying to make up, the amount to get to $100,000, and they may have been short like $46,000, and she said that she would pay the difference and not to worry about it. I was like, wow, goals. Like one day, I want to be like that. Not what she did, but have those types of funds. It was so cute that Portia had worn the dress that she had worn from season 11 reunion when she was pregnant with PJ. I thought it was so cute. Um, They were all getting ready to leave, and Drew, obviously, she said that she had had a headache or migraine or something, so she would just join them later. Honestly, when Drew said that, I just knew she was going to be late because I'm like, I get that you're not feeling the best, right? But then, how comes everyone's already ready and you're not ready? Like, didn't you have your own glam? Didn't you start getting ready around the same time? What is the reason? I'm so confused with Drew, honestly. So they all end up leaving. They all have the police escort, which I did mention earlier. I'm like, I'm assuming the police escort is because of the jewels. I thought it was so cool that they had that. And then obviously while they were going there, um, it starts raining. And Cynthia was like, it's an hour drive. Hopefully there's nothing or no storms on the other side. But then while they were in the van, Cynthia's people that were setting up the party, they then called Cynthia, I think someone named Anita, and someone else was crying on the phone to, tell her that it's storming outside and the plan was to have the gala like an outside theme, outside setting I meant. So then I guess she was like, it's fine. They had to change everything and make everything work by bringing everything. And I felt like, it still worked out fine. They were all inside, they were dry. The girls made it there on time, Drew. But I thought that the weather looked stunning, honestly. But at the same time as well, didn't anyone think to check the weather while they were decorating, or was it like a freak storm that had just happened? Because they mentioned a hurricane. So if it's a hurricane or a big storm of that nature, we would be aware that it's coming, right? So yeah, my question was, didn't they check the weather, as in the people setting up? But yeah. So the gala goes well. The husbands and the partners all meet them there. The girls then arrive. Everyone looks stunning. Cynthia does a little competition to crown the Miss Tequila. I guess, they all took turns walking down the stairs. And while they were walking down the stairs, I was like, where is Drew? I was wondering where Drew was. We'll get to that in a little bit. So while they're walking down the stairs, I guess they all, in their confessionals or whatever, they say why they should be crowned Miss Tequila. Um, Phaedra says, what did she say? She says something along the lines of like, how do you drink like tequila or something? You have it neat or on ice. And then she's like, well, I'm not a drunk. Who could we ask? And then Angela has her turn, and Angela says that if Kay gets drunk, she cries. If Pinky gets drunk, she throws up. If Portia gets drunk, she fucks your husband. I was like, Angela, please. So I guess that was Angela's reason for why she should be the winner. And then Cynthia, she could have just picked someone as the winner, but she said that they're all winners. Like, I get that, but at the same time, it's like, really, with this participation trophy situation, it is what it is. It's not that deep, but I was like, Cynthia, please, you could have at least picked someone. I personally would have picked someone, but who would I have picked? I would have picked Drew, but then she was late, so you can't pick Drew. I would pick Portia. Yeah, I would have definitely have picked Portia. And it was funny when Cynthia had basically given them the crown for all of them. Like they all were like play fighting and pulling the crown and kind of broke. That was so cute. Well, Tiara actually. Um, Obviously, as they were literally finishing and as they were walking out, Drew then starts walking in, which was like 3 hours later. So not only was she late, she missed the entire party. My thing is this: why is Drew always late? Like, I don't understand how you have the resources. Like, she was getting driven there, she had someone doing her makeup. What made you so late? I am so confused. I don't understand. Like, is there an issue with Drew being on time? Like, I don't really recall this happening in her earlier seasons. Why is it always a reoccurring issue with her? Like, it's not. It's very rude and very disrespectful to be late. So I don't know. Like, do you get reprimanded for these things on these shows? Like, obviously, we're watching it and it looks like they're just showing up, whatever. But then it's still like you're working, you're on the call, you're on, you're on the job, you're on the scene. So I don't know. Anyway, I thank you all so much for watching. I hope you had enjoyed my review. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and let me know what your thinking with everything that's going on, because it's crazy.